Hey guys, just want to show my FreeNAS box torn apart. I'm rewiring some stuff. I destroyed my uptime. It was about 44 days, it wasn't that long. But it'd been on for a while. I don't know what the last time I rebooted was for. Yeah, so hopefully my roommates don't complain because the HTPC outside won't have any movies to play or TV shows being downloaded. Let me just show it real quick. So basically what I'm going to do is I bought a bunch of more hard drives. I have 4 Samsung F4 EGs over there. They're 2 terabytes each. And I'm going to get 1 or 2 more. So then I'll have a total of 10 or 11 disks. And I'm going to have 10 in a RAID Z2, which is similar to a RAID 6. You can think of it as a RAID 6 basically. So I'm going to have a RAID 6 with 10 drives. So it'll be 8 data drives and 2 redundant drives, and possibly 1 spare on the side, just so I can switch it out in case I can't quickly get one on like eBay or something. So let me just show what's going on. This can take 5 drives, and this can take 5 drives. I'm going to try to like isolate the wiring so that everything on here is on one or 2 wires, everything on here is on 1 or 2 wires. I have to get a couple splitters. Yeah, I'm not going to switch it to a RAID Z2 anytime soon until I get that other hard drive or 2. So that won't be soon. Basically, I've just been grabbing these hard drives as the price has been going lower, and every time I see a refurbished one, I like to get refurbished just because I know it's been tested as working. I feel like I have a pretty good chance with them, and they usually have a 30-day warranty and everything, so I just make sure to check it to make sure it's working before. But then they just sit here, so I don't know 100% if it's working. So anyway, let me just show the upgrades I've been doing. I have that. I have a PCI-X NIC here. There's actually not a PCI-X slot in here, but PCI-X is backwards compatible with PCI as long as it's 2.2 and above. Pretty much every PCI slot you have from a computer past, like, I'd say 2006 has PCI 2.2, I believe. I know this one does. So, yeah, that NIC is working. I tested it. I actually had a PCI NIC in here before that was Intel, and it had a driver issue with FreeBSD. They have drivers, but there was it would just get messed up every once in a while. Like if you were transferring a large amount of data at once, it would lock up. You'd have to ifconfig, make it go up and down. I could still connect to the box with my other onboard NIC. So I got the Broadcom NIC in there. I'll have an Intel NIC here. This is like a server card I got for about 20 bucks on eBay. It's pretty nice actually. It's PCIe X, like I said, so it sticks out. But I think it's still running at full speed because it's PCI 2.2 is the same speed as PCI X. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, we got the PCIe 16 port slot and 1x1 slot. The 16X slot actually runs it only at X4. So let me show you what I'm going to be placing in there. These RAID cards I'm going to show you are actually pretty cheap RAID cards. I think this was around 80 bucks. It's a PCIe ×4 card, just like because the slot runs at ×4. So I think this was like around 90 bucks. It's a High Point RAID card. I know it's supported in FreeBSD. I tested it. By the way, FreeNAS is based off FreeBSD. The current FreeNAS 8.2 is what I'm running. It's based off FreeBSD 8.2. And I'm gonna get a so let me just show you the other RAID card real quick. This is for my ×1 slot. This one was only like 20 bucks, but it had decent reviews on Newegg. Like I think still had 5 stars. It has 2 in here. All of these are SATA 2, and all my hard drives are SATA 2, so everything's gonna be running at its max speed. So in total, this FreeNAS box, which draws very little power and everything, so it's not bad, and it didn't cost much more than $1,000, I don't think. I added it together, maybe about $1,000. It's gonna have 8 data drives, 2 terabytes each, so 16 gigs with 2 redundant drives. So pretty decent amount of storage. I don't know if it's future proof. I don't know if in a couple years I want more and I'm not gonna switch them out to 3 terabytes. I'll just buy a new computer at that point and give this to someone like my nephew or something. But yeah, let me just show you. Here's an MLC SSD. It's a 2nd generation Intel 80 gig. I put in here as a cache drive. Use the MLCs because they are cheaper per gig, and you just want speed. You don't care about lifetime because they're basically mostly read, not written to. And SLCs last longer, the single layer cell SSDs. I'm buying one of those, the Intel 313. It's the 3rd generation Intel. It's about $100 for 20 gig, and that's just the cache drive. I don't even need it to be 20 gigs because it just kind of rewrites itself every 5 seconds, and it's just caching information for ZFS for writing. It's like a log. Basically, the way ZFS is copy on write. It's a copy on write file system. So if you can cut the power at any point and there won't be any corruption. It's not possible because it's copy on write. So it makes a copy of what you're going to write to a new block, and then once it's done, then it just switches the information to say, oh, here's where the data is. So it's just changing where the data is. Problem with doing that on just like say you have a single hard drive is now it's doing a write, and then it's got to change where the data is, so that head, the spindle on the head, is constantly moving from one spot to another. With an SSD, now this is where it's copying it to, I think, and then it rewrites it to the same spot. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but basically I think, yeah, that's how it works. So it switches it to here, and it says here it is, and then it switches it back to the hard drive, to the old spot. So in the middle of the process it says it's on the SSD. I think that's how it works. Basically what this does is it doesn't make the spindle and the head have to move back and forth from different spots on the disk. So this is not this guy, I mean the SLC one I'm going to buy eventually. Helps in performance. I think I saw some benchmarks. It could double write performance. That's like probably only be in certain situations. I'm not going to be doubling my write performance because my drives are going to be slowed down. My drives are only 5400 RPM drives anyway. So yeah, I'm going to have 2 more cards in there. I still have an extra PCI slot. I might use it for another NIC. I don't know why they need 3 NICs at this point. Basically I'm going to reuse one just as like the main, like for the console, NFS. Those are the main things I use it for. My jail is going to be living off that NIC. A jail is like kind of like a virtual operating system in FreeBSD. The advantage of a jail compared to like VirtualBox or something is you're not running an extra kernel. Like if you ran Windows on top of Ubuntu, that Windows is having to run a Windows kernel on there. The CPU is having to switch back and forth and stuff. In the jail, it actually uses only has one kernel. It just has 2 user lands. So your jail has to have an IP. Everything's going to be basically off here. This I'm going to be messing around with iSCSI and trying to get like diskless HTPC set up so I could have multiple in the house that just boot off iSCSI, which performs really well, and they'll all be off this NIC, so that traffic won't be messing with the streaming traffic of NFS. Just have some separation there. You could team the NICs, but I use unmanaged, like the cheap switches, so you'd have to use round robin, which I heard can lower your performance sometimes. Ideally you want to have a managed switch that uses LACP, which is like a protocol to combine the NICs so you get 2 gigabits per second between you and the switch. But none of my clients are going to be 2. They're all 1 gigabit anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, hope that information was helpful. So yeah, I'm going to be wiring this up. I'm not going to show this in this video because I don't really know how to edit videos, so I won't have to go through all that to like cut it and everything. So yeah, I got my 16 gigs. These are 2 8 gig sticks. Little CPU fan. It's not needed because of the temp, so I might just unplug it for now. It's just a waste of energy at this point, but I guess it might help with lifetime of the thing, so I might just leave it there. There's the 4 slots, 4 SATAs there. There's 1 SATA right there. There's 1 eSATA, which I have a eSATA to SATA converter here, which I cut a little hole so it goes in and connects to the board. So I'll have 5 of these drives off the board, probably one of the SSDs off there. Then there's the 4 port. There's going to be 4 on here and 2 on here that go to the other SSD and the other 5 drives. That's my plan for this guy. I'll show it once it's completely done as well. But right now I'm just wiring it, throwing the hard drives in. By the way, basically I'm graduating from college this Sunday. I just recently, like yesterday, got offered a job in Sacramento for the Department of Public Health as a sanitary engineer. My major is environmental engineering, so it's kind of like dealing with water and drinking water and keeping the public safe. So yeah, I'll be doing that. I'll be making money instead of wasting money. So that'll be cool. Moving out to Sacramento, and I wanted to put these hard drives in there so they're not just bouncing around. They're just all hanging in this case without getting damaged at all. This case is going to be stiff. It's not going to get damaged. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and it's informational. See you guys.